Hey guys, how's it going? It is Care here with another Infinite Magicraid video, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the guild boss. I feel like this is an underrated part of the game. I don't see many people talking about this, but I think it has some of the best, if not the best, daily rewards you can get in a single game out here. So why you want to do this is because as you rank up in your guild boss, the rewards keep getting better and better, and from a daily perspective, if you can hit the damage thresholds here, you're getting a lot of good stuff. So starting at round 2, you get 25 diamonds. Mainly in the beginning, I really like to focus on the copper ore, so you can take it in here and be able to use it in the forge. The copper ore is all down here in the bloodthirsty set, hardening set, or the accuracy set. I was mainly using the accuracy set because the most people that do the damage here are going to be your burners, so that's why I was focusing on that. And it was nice to have a very consistent amount every single day when it comes to being able to beat this. And then as we go further on, we're getting better chances at getting epic tomes and also excellent runes. And then it gets really good down here, especially just in the raw gems, you know, like daily 100 diamonds every single day. We're getting the copper ingots because at this point, I don't really care about 5-star gear. All I care about is the 6-star. Even if it's a blue piece, it's just infinitely better than most 5-star pieces. So being able to do this, even though it takes a lot longer to be able to get it, is way nicer. And then you get supreme rooms potentially and advanced skill scrolls. So it's like, this is some of the best stuff in the entire game, totally worth doing. And then one thing is about the attempts here. So notice I have 3 attempts, and you can get 3 attempts if you pay. There's a privileges thing here, and it's $3 for 30 days. If you're a light spender, this is probably one of the better deals in this game, but if you're completely free to play, you'd only have 2 attempts. How I like to look at my damage threshold here is from the perspective of someone that is free to play that only has a couple attempts per day. So for example, here, I would consider this good if I can 2-key this. Like if I can do 50 and 50, then that's like a free to play version of being able to do the 100 million there to get the max rewards. I don't really count a 3-key as something that would be, you know, for most people they're going to be able to do, because I think most people are going to be free to play. But what you can do, if you're like single keying it, for example, you can double up on these rewards. So if you end up beating this, like you do the 30 million, 1 keying this one, and then you can 1 key this one. And in my case, for a bit there, I was able to 2 key it because I have that extra attempt. So I could 2 key level 3 and then 1 key level 1 and be able to double up on those rewards. And then that's just going to get even better and better as we go through and get better at our teams and stuff. And so we'll be able to potentially, like, let's say 2 key this and then 1 key this, for example. And I don't think any of these rewards are worth ever gymming it out. So you can like pay the 150 here. Totally not worth it. I was doing a lot of testing here. This is something that I would never recommend doing. This is over the course of many attempts. I've been doing a lot of testing on this. So I've been willing to pay it because as a content creator, I want to be able to figure stuff out to show you guys. But I normally would just do my 3 attempts and call it a day. So now let's talk about how the boss actually works. And he's actually pretty straightforward. He has 3 abilities, and right here you can check them out, and let's go in order of his abilities here. So basic attack, evil ape, waves his fist to deal 250% attack damage to all enemies. This attack damage ignores shield. And then his A2 spits out some, so his A2 here deals 400% attack damage to a target with a 100% chance to stun. And then his passive is immune to speed reduction effects. After 5 turns, he ramps up and gets more damage. And then after 10 turns, his attacks ignore immortal. And then after 15 turns, he inflicts a kill and gains 1 more action turn. After 20 turns, he just instant kills everyone, like sec kills. I've never heard that term before, but it just means he just wipes you out regardless of what you have. You're just done. And then another active skill is Earthquake, dealing 300% attack damage to all enemies, reducing their attack by 30% for 2 turns. And then he's immune to all turn meter reduction effects. So one thing to keep in mind that I think is helpful is understanding how his turns actually work, like what's his turn order, because he starts out different and then ends up changing to a very predictable pattern. And you can see that here. And how it works is he goes turn 1, he'll stun, turn 2, he'll do his A3, and then turn 3, he'll stun again. So he's stun, AoE stun, and then this AoE is the one that reduces the attack by 30%. And then now he's in the consistent pattern of stun, basic AoE, and then turn 5 is the A3 AoE, and then stun AoE with the attack down again. So you can see how it goes. And then at the very end here, he goes stun, AoE, and then ends the match by killing everyone on turn 20. So I think that's kind of helpful to see that he's not just, you would normally think a boss goes ultimate A2 basic attack, but with him, he changes it up where he goes A2, A3, A2, A1 to get on pace, because since it ends here, they wanted it to end on the A3, I believe. So they just cut it off and you start right on the A2 there. Just keep that in mind. Also, here's a picture of the stats you can expect. So he has at the version 4, he's at 1700 speed. I believe he's at 1600 for number 3, and because I think most people are going to be in that range there, and then his effect hit and resistance are a little bit lower, but I like to be able to plan ahead. So if my teams are, you know, not there yet, eventually I'm going to get here, so I like to see this. So I figured I would at least show you guys the Guild Boss 4, what you can expect, because even the people that are on it right now are probably going to be stuck on this for quite a while, unless you're in like a super whale guild. From there, now we understand that, what are the kind of team comps you're going to want to get. Okay, so now let's think about team comps here and what you're going to want to have based on the characters you pulled. So how I like to look at it is there's multiple categories, and really it's just going to come down to finding each category based on the characters you have and trying to get as many of these as possible to do as much damage as possible. So you're going to want to have dot damage in some kind of form. That's just the best kind of damage. Mainly HP burners are going to be the best. I haven't tried bleed or poison, but I've heard that bleed at least is good. Don't know if poison is good for something like this. I do have a few bleed characters that I do want to level up. I might revert someone just to try it out, namely Hizaro here. I've heard that he's a really good damage dealer, but for the most part, I've only really tried HP burners, and they do a ton, and I think they're probably going to be the most popular because they're also really good in other parts of content. So most people just build them outright. Then there's direct damage you want to consider. So right here, if you look at my team comp, we got Malia here, HP burner, Sigmund, HP burner, and then Zia as a direct damage, and then we have Savelle here. She's like a combination of supporter where she's buffing and she's debuffing with defense down, and she's buffing with attack up, like attack up 2. And then Catherine here, the main thing she's providing is a debuff of feebleness to get more damage up. So the boss takes more damage, and then she's providing counterattack, which I think is one of the absolute best buffs you can provide, and she's the only one that does it. Counterattack for everyone. So then when the boss AoEs, we're able to respond and do a ton of damage. And then there's other synergies there based on how good the auto attack of the character is something, especially when you pull Catherine, and everyone's going to eventually have Catherine. So it's really good to keep in mind how good the auto attack of a character is, because just how good Catherine is. I think she's going to be an absolute no-brainer to be able to put into pretty much everyone's comp because of how good counterattack is, especially when we finally get to the point where she's E3, because E3 Catherine can do counterattack on a 3-turn cooldown, so we'll be able to match the boss's AoE moves consistently throughout the entire fight. But until then, most people are not going to have that. Like, I'm not going to have that for a very long time, and I'm probably ahead of most people. So that's super far out, but she gets even better the further we progress into the game. And then another thing she provides is she cleanses the attack down, which is great too. But ideally I would have it prevented, because what's happening is the attack down applies, that we counterattack. So the counterattack is completely, you know, all 30% attack down, which is a bummer. So it's kind of one of those things that you still want to prevent. Also, things to look at is your faction bond here. So luckily, Sword Harbor Guards are actually pretty good because they just get raw damage based on how many of them you have on your team. So being able to have a good faction bond here is going to help out at least a bit when it comes to your damage. Here's all the things that I like to look for in a character when I'm trying to build my team comp here. So here's all the things. So we got to worry about someone that can cleanse the A3 of the boss, and that's 30% attack down on everyone. So we want to either cleanse or prevent it, ideally prevent it. Then we have to consider all these buffs here. So attack up, crit damage up, speed up, counterattack, all things. Any of these things are going to be fantastic for this. And then debuffs, you're going to want defense down and feebleness. Is really just cramming all these in as much as you possibly can on a boss here. And then the things that you want to consider are like speed down won't work, turn meter reduction won't work. So those things are completely useless. And all these characters you're going to want to be very damage focused for this, because we don't really care about survivability, and it's very hard to be able to cheat out turns with a character that actually does damage. And then the next thing, because it's pretty clear that all of these would be good. Ideally, you would have every single one of these constantly on your team, but that's just not realistic. So the big thing that I also like to look at is just how frequently can they apply these things. And you get characters like Sigmund and Malia here, they apply HP burn very consistently. So they have the auto attack here, he can apply it, he can counterattack, it actually stacks with counterattack, so he's able to counterattack twice. So super easy to apply that version right there. We have Savelle here, she's fantastic because she can do the attack up by 40%, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is crazy. Most people don't have this, especially a damage dealer, and she's really easy to build because her ultimate is a guaranteed crit, but mainly she's there for support because the attack up's so good, and then her auto attack is a defense down, and so it just applies it, so you don't need any effect hit for it. So a very consistent defense down, but it's only a defense down 1. It's not a defense down 2. So ideally, there's something missing there that we could potentially get with another character, but she applies it so easily and is providing the attack up and is able to do a lot of damage with her ultimate. So I think she's going to be one of the top tier characters as a support character. Here's another great example of one where he's doing the 40% attack and he's giving everyone effect hit, which is nice if you don't have enough gear, because you potentially could get resisted unless you have a ton of effect hit. And then he's doing the damage here, but he's reducing turn meter, which is completely useless, and his auto attack is not that much damage. So he's like the free-to-play version of someone like Slaville, in my opinion. And then Zia is a great option because she's really good consistent damage because she lowers her cooldowns. So even though she's just raw single target damage, very good here. She's boosting up her own crit damage. She's able to do a big nuke here, and then she lowers her own cooldowns with her auto attack. And then that kind of auto attack is fantastic with someone like Catherine that everyone's going to eventually get. So just keep your eye out on these really good auto attacks, especially when you're getting closer and closer to Catherine, because it's just going to make that character so much better. And those are the kind of things I look for. Other things, like for example, a lot of people are going to be going for Lucifer. He's going to be providing Feebleness 2. And then he also, I believe, reduces defense, but maybe you got to get fully, you have to have him fully exclusive. So that's not really realistic. But those are the things I like to look for when it comes to a Guild Boss team. Another example is, I think probably the best in the game is going to be Ben Austin, because when you fully get him exclusive 3, it resets the cooldown. So he's going to have everyone jump in and then do a ton of damage with their auto attack. So everyone does that, and then it just resets. So he's going to be able to do it literally the entire fight. You're never going to have to worry about the cooldown on this, and everyone's going to be able to auto attack every single turn. So that in combination with Catherine is going to be absolutely hilarious, and we're going to do a ton of damage. So I think for long-term boss fights, he's going to be like absolute S tier, like S plus tier when it comes to the guild boss there. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this. These are the kind of things I'm thinking about. Also, one last thing that I want to mention is just a tip when it comes to speed. And if you want to make sure your turn orders are good, because like for example, your attack up characters, you want them to go before your damage dealers, so then they don't miss out on some attack up. And then also your speed in here can really mess up your turn orders. If you have too big of a disparity of speed, what will end up happening is one character potentially can lap another and make it to where your buffs don't line up as they would have normally. So that's just one thing to consider that I believe deserves its own video. It's very niche, but I figured it was just, I wanted to throw that out there. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this very good game mode that is some of the best rewards in the entire game that I don't think gets highlighted enough. That's pretty much it for this video, and you guys have a good one.